Nem járna ezért egy szabadrugás. Íme a fal.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Oh, Jesus. All right, finally, it's done. Yeah, that's looking far better now. My trim isn't out, so never fear.
I'm just screaming to the words come out, it's only ball here.
Yo guys, it is your boy. Can't physically help it because barbers aren't open yet. Trim Niren here, and welcome to FTW. This, of course, is the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. Before we get into the video proper, fam, what is this? I can't quite put into words how thankful I am to all of you guys. We've hit 500,000 subscribers this week. 500,000 people. 500,000 Donnies listening to this guy ranting. Oh my god! I streamed my reaction to it happening live. I cried. But once again, I can't really. I don't know how I can give back, particularly for how much you've done for me all. But you're all heroes and I massively appreciate it. But what's been kicking off in the world? Well, you know that old COVID-19 thing? That pandemic? Yeah, that's the one. There you go. Well, there's the rumors that crowds are going to be returning for football matches, but with segregated sections for people who've been vaccinated and who haven't. If you've not had it yet, you're slapped in the away end. You're AstraZeneca. And you know you are. You're gonna have to work on the flow a little bit there, Andy. I can't. Meanwhile, elsewhere, and the number of people playing croquet is apparently rising exponentially. And with results like this, it's not much of a surprise. No, we're not doing this again. I'm changing the sport. We're done with croquet. Welcome to garden bowls this week. No, yes, that's quite the change of scenery. Liverpool lost their first quarter-final Champions League leg 3-1 in a disappointing performance against Real Madrid. Why do Real do this, man? They're dead in the group stage, then eat some spinach for the knockouts. Drugs test them, in my opinion. That's a paracetamol, G. You're barred. It was a truly awful Liverpool performance. We were sloppy, there was a lack of high pressing, our midfield completely disappeared and didn't collect the milk on the way home. Naby Keita was hooked after 41 minutes. Surely he's not entitled to full pay. Meanwhile, it was a difficult day for Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was spun like a tumble-dryer cycle. His bad mistake led to the second goal, but overall he made Vinicius Jr. look like Pele, though he probably would have claimed scoring a further 2 goals in the game if that was the case. You can't do this here, Trent. You've been caught in literal La Liga 4K cameras. Worse than all of this, Gareth Southgate now probably feels like he was right to leave him out of the England squad. That's 6 more defensive midfielders on the plane. Thank you very much. Trent, you're making it very hard for me to back you here. There's no point putting him on a plane anyway. He'll be traumatized as soon as he sees the wings. That's what Vinicius Jr.'s just ruined him on for 90 minutes. We've been spun by Gail Platt. They didn't even have Sergio Ramos as well. He was probably at home breaking limbs of his own children. There's a lot of work to do for the second leg. A 2-0 win would see us through, but honestly, I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. Weirder things obviously have happened, however.
Why now then? Oh, it's 3!
As long as we're not actually at home for the home leg, that would be ideal. All of this after a promising 3-0 victory over Arsenal in the Premier League. But bun the results for a second. I've seen more coherent hair follicles at an EDL rally. The refs used a protractor for his I'm pretty sure. What is going on here? Has he realised he's not had a haircut and the linesman's quickly done it for him before the game started? Then again, the lino should know what straight lines look like. It takes a lot of effort to outdo Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And honestly, it didn't stop there because Alisson's new moustache, it comes with a XXX rating as standard. Meanwhile, Arsenal tweeted this about Alexander Lacazette. I don't think he's going to be hitting the target they set to acquire. Elsewhere, in Manchester City beat Borussia Dortmund 2-1 in their first leg tie with a Phil Foden winner. It grabbed headlines though for some outrageous calls from Romanian referee Ovidiu Hatagan. Definitely butchered that, but we keep it moving. He disallowed this Jude Bellingham goal, calling a foul on Edison when he quite clearly got the ball. Jadon Sancho made his feelings known. Borussia Dortmund's Twitter was just as bemused, and Erling Haaland was in disarray. Then we saw a penalty call against Borussia Dortmund, thankfully overturned by VAR against Emre Can for a high boot that didn't even connect with the forward, who then handballed it. There's no VAR in Romania, so the guy has no clue on the process. He walks up to the TV and just starts changing the channels. Mad performance though from Jude Bellingham, regardless of whether he got a goal. He's a star of the future, so assured and confident on the ball. The man is younger than the first Harry Potter film. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? You give him champagne and he's arrested on arrival. But if Birmingham City retired his number when he left, I think Manchester City retire the number of the referee. Meanwhile, in a modern classic that was a redo of last year's Champions League final, Paris Saint-Germain were victorious over reigning champions Bayern Munich with a 3-2 victory. Bayern had 25 shots in this game, missing Lewandowski and instead Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. Imagine my surprise. You'd be vexed. 25 shots and you lose the game. It's basically a match on Ultimate Team. Oh, nah, how could you do this poor innocent man like this? He's probably having flashbacks, to be fair. It's been an interesting week for Chelsea because before their 2-0 victory over Porto, they were demolished 5-2 by Big Sam Allardyce's relegation-threatened West Brom. One more goal here and he's looking up at the menu, ordering and clarting cheesy chips across Tuchel's face. Double footing whilst he's on the floor. It all started with a Thiago Silva red card in the first half. Whenever this guy plays this team, he just turns into a mess. And with the amount of points Chelsea give away against relegation candidates, you'd think they're a registered charity. You've conceded 8 goals to West Brom. West Brom don't even concede 8 goals against West Brom in training sessions. Over at Leeds United, and they posted this about Jagielka scoring a screamer when he scored an own goal against them.
Let's not take the piss here.
Meanwhile, after putting 7 past Huddersfield Town in the Championship, Norwich City weren't going to let that opportunity pass them by. And down at Portsmouth,
by the referee, and Cannon goes to the 4th official. Someone throws the ball at Tariq. It all gets a bit unsavoury, and the referee needs to...
Nah, it's the way he's pretended he doesn't know where it's come from either. I can't be arsed. It's a shithousery award for the Portsmouth man.
Stuck that into the empty net for sure, but it's so naive. Didn't spot that Mate had gone.
Ah, man, we do love the Championship. Travelling abroad though now, and over in Morocco. We do love Africa. I mean, some people don't. I mean, look, listen, I don't know why you're here again. ESPN tweeted asking if Harry Kane was the best striker in world football right now, to which Bayern Munich were having absolutely none of it whatsoever. Meanwhile, over in Spain, and Real Sociedad won the Copa del Rey final to win their first silverware in over 30 years. It produced scenes of mass excitement and adulation, multiple other things. I mean, fam, not now, lads. There's kids watching. For crying out loud, Allison as well. Like, let's not. Meanwhile, one of their coaches and lifelong fans of Real Sociedad allowed himself to indulge in his fan side.
Puzcoa, todos conmigo, ¿eh?
I am scared. In France, Neymar was sent off for Paris Saint-Germain after a scuffle with a Lille footballer. His sister must have an event coming up that he needs suspending for. Don't worry about it. In Scotland, and Rangers forward Alfredo Morelos is keeping himself occupied in the stands.
Another one coming. I got them both this time.
Meanwhile, Celtic play League One Falkirk in the Scottish Cup. Falkirk tweeted that Ryan Christie had taken on a shot from range, and you know the rest. It stayed 0-0. Didn't really age that well when Ryan Christie then stuck one in from range a few moments later. Although, with 40 shots across the course of their game, were all of their shots from range, or... Meanwhile, in Germany, and we've got the craziest 25 seconds you are likely to see in the 3rd division. Now though, returning to Spain, and there was the unsavoury incident in a game between Cadiz and Valencia this week, in which French defender and Valencia footballer Mukhtar Diakabi walked off the pitch with the rest of his Valencia teammates after allegedly being racially abused by Cadiz's Juan Carla. Now they both went up for an aerial challenge, they had words afterwards, Diakabi kind of chased him down and ended up having a bit of a scuffle, and then the Valencia players all walked off the pitch. About 15 minutes later, all players returned to the pitch pitch and continue the game, but Diakabi is off in the stands and has been substituted. An investigation is underway into Juan Carlo and what he said, whilst Valencia came out with a very, very strong statement, basically just atting Cadiz, atting the defender. Now, originally it was stated that Diakabi wanted his teammates to go out and play, and maybe that was the case, but it was later found out that La Liga pressurized Valencia into restarting the game, according to their left back Jose Gaya. Now, this all starts from the top, and if La Liga aren't taking this seriously enough and are pressurizing footballers into playing, or Diakabi into playing after something that's so distressing to him as a man, let alone as a footballer, then that sets a horrendous precedent. And we ended up with a situation where Diakabi was off the pitch and Juan Carlo, who allegedly racially abused him, continued playing until half-time. It's shameful, really, from Spanish football overall, but very impressive from Valencia in the stand that they took. I'd argue Carlo's face probably gives the game away. This was just after Valencia's players walked off. He looks a bit guilty, but a big stand is required here. Unfortunately, the fact that it's happening in Spain, I hope this isn't a sweeping generalization, doesn't fill me with a huge amount of confidence. Stuff has happened there before and we've seen limited action taken. I have promised to make a video on this topic properly in the future. I'm just trying to find the right time to do it. But if he is found guilty, then I want to see a season-long ban. You know, a precedent needs to be set here. Closer to home, though, and down in League One, after scoring against Oxford United for current side Sunderland, Max Power had a very choice celebration in front of coaches who'd been giving him stick all game. It's a shithousery award for, I mean, the guy's called Max Power, could we just say? That's just outlandish. On Welsh women's duty, and turns out you really don't want to be attempting to nutmeg Rachel Rowe. Meanwhile, in League 2, and Rebecca Welsh became the first ever female referee in a men's football league game. I'm a big fan. This is probably a massive step for any young women wanting to get into the game, generally speaking, and especially when it comes to officiating. Honestly, I think I'd be more scared of a female official under the circumstances. Are you taking the piss? That's not a yellow card. Okay, yeah, Mum, yeah, that's fine. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back, by popular demand, for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Over in Israel, and Tal Ben-Aim was struck by a projectile during celebrations after scoring a goal. But more importantly than that, who is flinging a shoe onto the pitch, leaving the game looking like Bear Grylls 3 days into a survival series?
And the only thing I can do is to drink my own pee.
Leipzig midfielder and former La Masia graduate Danny Olmo spoke this week about how he was actually frustrated at having to take pictures with Lionel Messi when he arrived at the youth academy. I just want to go Tesco, man. Ronaldo's better anyway. Serbian football now, and it's providing quite the clips. Meanwhile, a few countries over, and it's the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, we've got one of my favourite RTW stories ever, because at Industria Galda de Jos, a third-tier Romanian side, they asked a local website to help them with an April Fool's joke, saying that their coach had been sacked after 3 defeats in his last 3 games. They carried out the prank, the manager didn't appreciate the joke, and he actually quit his job. Meanwhile, over in Brazil, and one broadcaster forgot that they weren't allowed to show a certain game live on Facebook, in the same way that BT Sport and Sky have certain games they can show and certain games they don't. This Brazilian network just had no idea and had to stop the broadcast after about half an hour. Now though, it is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is the segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. Now, I do not say this lightly, okay? We've seen 100 episodes now of football this week. I don't believe I have ever seen a more perfect Sunday League clip in my entire life. An absolute car crash of a goal is given away. The goalkeeper on the defensive side loses his rag, and this is what happens.
Fuming, he's called the ref for nonce. Fucking hell, man. That's a joke, man. No, alright, we're not playing if you do that. Like, we're going home. Honestly, there's no point.
Well, you did call him a nonce.
It's just perfection. This is literally an uncut scene from The Office. In fairness to the guy watching on, you can't just call the referee a sex offender. That probably is gonna land you with a suspension. On to the weird stuff though now. Over in the Croatian 2nd Division, and we had an unlikely guest enter the fray in the form of a parrot landing on one of the attacking players. I don't know where he's come from realistically. Can you get off my shoulder, please? Can you get off my shoulder, please? No, I know you're a parrot, but... No, I know you're a parrot, but... I swear to fucking God. In Colombia, and former Inter midfielder Freddy Guarin was arrested this week after an altercation with family members. He apparently had a fight with his parents. Obviously, the police were called and brought him away. He was apparently under the influence of substances, in quotation marks, during this altercation. Obviously, I hope his parents are okay and not too traumatized, but I hope he can get the help that he needs. In Aston Villa's game against Fulham this week, it was the first time ever in Premier League history that every single footballer on the pitch had been born after the Premier League was created in 1992. Meanwhile, our final story is just ridiculous. Over in Brazil, Palmeiras striker Luis Adriano tested positive for COVID-19. Now, he was ordered obviously to stay in isolation, away from the club and away from everybody else. He managed to get out of isolation, drove around in his car, and then accidentally hit a cyclist whilst out and about. If you're gonna do something like this, you've got to keep a low profile, for crying out loud, not get involved in a hit and run. Thankfully, the cyclist is okay, but pure stupidity. The next chapter in the Kyle Walker lockdown chronicles, I'm sure. But that is going to be it for football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to slap a like on the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Once again, I want to say the biggest thank you possible for 500,000 subscribers. That is just a crazy sentence to say. It's massively appreciated, and I don't know what I can even do to repay the faith and kindness that you show me. But regardless, if you enjoy the series, then let me know in the comments section. If you want to follow me on social media, you can. It's at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye. Travelling abroad though now, and over in Morocco. We do love Africa.